FZ-07 bullshit on series. I'm gonna turn a wrench. This makes me a customizer.
In my opinion, that sucked.
And we're back again with another bullshit on series video. It's been a while. I apologize, been kind of busy. Life. We got a handful of things to do to the FZ-07. Got all kinds of new parts for it and sitting in the office being neglected. So we're gonna get on those. To start with, we're gonna deal with this. The turn signals. Yes, once again, I know. God, I have got to stop looking at them. These are the brightest aftermarket turn signals you can get. It's one of the very first videos I did. I put these on the bike and I need to stop staring at them. Let's just no. Okay. Now typically, I don't forget to turn those off at night because they're that bright, but in the daytime, I'm an idiot. I always leave my turn signals on. We have something to fix that. This is, what is this called again? Smart Turn System. World's first smart self-canceling turn signal add-on for motorcycles. Yes, this is basically an add-on self-canceling turn signal thing. If you've ever ridden a Harley Davidson, these actually have them on there. I know we like to think Harley Davidsons, those things are like tractors, but no, they actually have them. I think everything like the Sportster lineup, they all kind of have these self-canceling turn signals. Don't really know how they work, but they actually work pretty good. And I know I went on their website, these guys, and they actually compare their system to the Harley system, and according to them at least, their system's better. They kind of showed videos where they were kind of trying to do weird things and trip up the systems. We'll have to see ourselves when we get out there in the real world and give this thing a test, which we'll do here at the end. I don't know how it does. I don't know if it's got like GPS or some kind of stuff on there. Here, I'll show you what this is. It's very simple. Everything comes in a box like this. The instructions are incredibly vague. I've already taken a look at this. Go online. The online instructions are a little bit better, but you basically have the main bit of it. You have a box here and a handful of wires on the other end here. Looks like a lot of them, but it's actually not that big a deal. You basically have a set of 3 wires that you're going to sort of tail this thing into, and then you've got two power wires. Shouldn't be that hard to do. I get all kinds of offers. Oh, try this product, try that product, and I pretty much ignore them all. This was one of those, but it caught my eye. So I'm kind of skeptical of this. This could be a fail. I don't know. Hopefully not. I believe the wiring that we'll need to get to, at least on the FZ, will be down inside here. Let's get into it. I'm gonna just slide this whole thing up a bit. The wiring we should need is inside this little pocket. What you want to find the wire that runs back to the handlebars, and it's this one right here. Carefully here, there's a little bit of electrical tape right here, and this piece right here. I'm gonna have to trim this back just a little bit, so do this really carefully. Sometimes I find what you can do is you can kind of run a line on there without cutting all the way through, then you're able to sort of peel it back by hand. Ta-da! We've exposed it. I did have to employ the multimeter just to be sure I was getting things exactly right here. If you're doing an FZ-07, I'm gonna tell you the exact wires to do just so it's super easy for you, but I want you to understand how to do this. If you're watching this tutorial and you don't have this exact bike, it's not that hard. It's gonna look sort of intimidating because you're gonna see this big 10-wire switch here and you're going, wait, what, I don't know. Get you a little multimeter. You can get this is like an $8 multimeter. They're not that hard to use. I know, I don't want to use a multimeter. I'm going to show you. It's not that big a deal. There's basically 3 wires across this that we need to locate. This is disconnected. There's absolutely no power running this. You don't need to worry about the key being on or off. This doesn't have power. This is basically just like loops of things that run back and forth that get controlled by like the horn. Like for instance, when you would click the horn, it completes a circuit through here, which then goes down and gets. Don't worry about it. So we're going to put our multimeter in what's called ohms. Ohms is the one that has a little switch. It kind of looks like a horseshoe, and we're going in the, what is it, .20K range? Doesn't really matter. Okay, here's the main thing you need to know though about your multimeter beforehand. When there's an open connection, all ohms is doing is seeing basically, is there a connection, is there not a connection, how strong is that connection? We don't need to know anything. All we're looking for is connection or no connection. And the way you can find out how your multimeter works, some of them do this differently, is you want to take your 2 ends here, you want to put them together and see what happens. In our case, we get all zeros across the board. When we don't have a connection, we get this little 1 over here. Some of them do a little bit different things depending. Put the left turn signal on, right? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go across here and try to find when we have a connection. It doesn't matter, by the way, if you have these switched up right now. That makes no difference, and it won't make a difference throughout this, at least in this process right here. So I'm going to touch. I've already figured out it's light brown with a stripe and dark brown. And suddenly, when I touch those 2, I'm getting zeros on my multimeter. Now, if I cancel the turn signal or switch it to the other way, oh, we've just broken the connection. Put it back on. And we know that's what it is. Now let me show you the actual chart I came up with here real quick. Okay, my handwriting is the greatest handwriting you've ever seen. But basically you see left turn signal, right turn signal. One uses a dark brown, one uses a dark green. And then they have this commonality one where they use a light brown with a white stripe. Now, when we go to our actual instructions, I swear follow me, it's not that bad. You've got 3 wires in there, okay? It ends up being 3 wires. They share one, and then they both have their own. So what we're gonna end up doing is basically cutting the light brown with a white stripe, the dark green, and the dark brown. We're going to sever them, okay? And then you'll be able to see from your instructions here, this little chart right here, you're gonna feel like you're gonna get to feel like you're a real electrician. You get to brag to your buddies that you did some, oh, I looked at the wiring diagram and put this together. Wiring diagrams look insane, but when you break them down, they're really not that big a deal. A lot of it's just understanding the signals here, but you can kind of get a rough idea of what's going on here. But let's just start, first things first, let's trim these wires. Get your politically correct dikes. Dark green is cut, dark brown, light brown with white stripe. There's a light brown and there's a light brown with a white stripe, so make sure you're getting the right one. You want to strip back just a little bit of insulation. Sometimes I think you go to strip these things and it seems like the neck size doesn't quite work. What I like to do is kind of pinch it with the neck size down, but don't actually try to strip it with that one because you may end up cutting wire. You don't want to do that. Worst come to worst, this isn't on the wiring harness. What we're doing right now is actually on the other side. So this piece is easily replaceable. It just kind of goes up to the connector up here. So if we completely destroyed this for some reason, we just go, oh God, we've made a terrible mistake, we could replace this piece. So you get a handful of these little crimps. The wires on this side of the connector, we'll take the female ends and we'll put the male ends on the one that run back up to the switch. I'm not super wild about crimps a lot of times. Sometimes you're doing stuff like this and you just kind of stop and go, oh my God, what have I done? It's gonna be okay, I promise you. Everything we've hacked up, you can replace. It's not in the main wiring harness. I mean, you can replace the main wiring harness, but you don't want to. I've done a few of those. When I worked at a Polaris place, it seemed like guys would always bring them in. Rats would chew up part of the wiring harness. Replaced a lot of rat-chewing wiring harnesses. Even when I worked at Honda, I've seen a couple quads with the same exact story. So we've got all our wires connected to this thing. Let's just kind of tuck that to the side for a minute. We've got our disconnected wire on the wiring harness right here. We've got our turn signal wires. And there's one other thing we need to do, and we need to locate some switch power item. This wire right here is the small running light that goes on the bottom. That works off switch power just like we need it to. Switch power, all that means is that when the key is turned on, it receives power. Now I can tell that because the light is literally running, but if you want to use your multimeter, you would stick it into the 12 volt section and you could go around and find a simple place to get your 12 volt power supply from. But again, you've got this wire right here. The way these things work, if you've never seen these, we'll actually just pinch these over it and we'll be able to plug a connector straight into them when they're done. Pretty cool. They just sort of slice into the wire. They don't sever the wire. They sort of cut through the insulation to make contact with it so it can sort of steal power from there if you need to. From here we have everything pretty much ready to go. We can plug this wire back in here. We've got 6 connectors over here on this end. 3 on one side, 3 on the other, and 2 down there on our running light for switch power. Kind of know that this is going to get tucked kind of down into this area from just how it was sitting in here before. So we can kind of get a rough idea where we need to place this little box. We take this box right here and we kind of have this little space right back in here. Basically disappeared. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take a zip tie and zip tie it to this piece of wiring harness right here. Twisting the bars back and forth, that little space I'm sticking it in, I think that'll be fine for it. That box is pretty waterproof on its own. If I zip tie it to that existing cable right down in here, I don't think it'll move around a lot. It should stay pretty darn still, especially if I zip tie it fairly close to it, which I plan to do. Now I'm going to run the wiring, kind of following the existing wiring harness. First thing I'm going to connect, because it's pretty simple, I'm going to connect up my 2 power wires, which are these guys right here. Those are going to go on those crimps that we put on the running light. Black's going to go to black and your blue and red will go to red. And this is where you get to feel like an electrician, but it's really not that hard to do. But you get to feel really cool, like you've done something awesome. We use that in my little bit of wiring that I came up with here. And again, if you're doing this on a FZ-07 and you're going, God, this is going to be insane, Jake, I'll just tell you, I'll walk you exactly through what I'm going to do here. Okay, dark brown hooks to purple, light brown with a white stripe on the male end, of course, hooks to brown. Dark green will, on the male end, will hook to white. Right there, kind of tuck those to the side, clean that up a hair. Green to left on ours is dark brown. Is yellow, right turn signal is dark green, which is right here. It's really just connected colors, like if a child could do this at this point. Don't get to this step and go, oh God! And just of course, and you don't just connect it because you think it is. We go blue, and blue is to our light brown with a white stripe. Now when you get them all in there, give them a good push. Sometimes they got a little extra they'll go in. So I can see the metal exposed on a few of these, and give them a little push. That'll disappear. We've got everything connected. We just have one thing left to do in the switch up here. But if we want to make sure it's done correctly, from what I understand, we put it on and one of the turn signals is supposed to go for just a second. Now, put one of the turn signals on though, even if I cancel it, it won't cancel now. It's just going to go and to go, assumably until the bike makes what it believes is a left turn. I don't know if there's a time limit on it, but if you cycle power, it'll go back and you should get the quick flash to the left, or sorry, the right, and I think that's sort of like a, hey, everything's connected now, we do have power working in this thing. So you want to remove the two Phillips screws holding this together. We have to turn this into, from a switch that kind of stays like this, you can kind of see the mechanics of how one of these works, into what's basically more of a momentary switch. So we're going to have to try to put these little rubber things into these little holes right here. Get these little foam squishy guys. So I ended up actually using this small little pick tool. I was able to push the two little discs. They basically just sit right in here like a pancake. And the idea is it's just a little line of rubber in there. You could always pick it back out. But I'll show you, I figured out a way to sort of test if it's working. There we go. And see, that's going to go, and that's just never going to turn off now, even if I flip it in the other direction. Okay, no, I can't. Okay, I can change it direction. But the only way I can stop it is by turning it off, because the sensor's not detecting that I've changed lanes or turned, so it's just going to continue to run as it should. So that means everything actually is set up correctly. It doesn't mean we won't know if the self-canceling part works till we get out on the road, but we can start buttoning it all up from there because it's together and it appears to be working. Oh my, what's been going on here? Okay, so yeah, it's the next day now. What you don't see when these videos, what I do often is I'll pause the camera and I'll go a couple steps ahead, then go back a bit and then record it, just so I can try to make it look the easiest way possible for you. You know, I can go, oh, okay, it doesn't work like this, let's do it like this, you know. And the instructions are very vague with this, so this is definitely one of those cases. I was jumping ahead a bit, and what happened yesterday was the little crimps, when I started to connect everything, started to pull out. I hate crimps. I almost never use them. I tried to show them this video just to show there was an easy option. I wanted to solder this thing in anyway, which turns out I'm having to do now. You know, you could maybe get them to stay in there and you play with them enough, but it's just too unpredictable. You'd be riding down the road, hit a bump. So I'm soldering everything in, which will make it much cleaner. It will be way less bulky like that. The downside to that is that if for some reason I don't like this kit or it doesn't work well, I mean, you know, it's unknown to me. I'm still kind of figuring it out if I'm gonna like this or not. It's not as easy to disconnect. In fact, we're so close to the connector end. I mean, all I'd have to do is I'd have to leave a piece of the wire from the kit on there, cut it off and resolder it all back together. It still easily can all go back to stock. It's maybe, you know, 15-20 minutes of soldering in the whole thing. You got six points, actually 3 if you're putting it back stock. It's not a huge deal. It's just that's my biggest hang up. I hate those. So yeah, I was gonna try to do it last night, but it started getting dark. Then June bugs were coming in here like paintballs, so we took a break. So let me show you where we're at now. I'm telling you guys, I kind of went back through here. Was just literally playing with these connectors, and I was able to rip them all back out. But you can see here, we've pretty much put them all back together, shrink wrapped everything. This is the last one. I just want to show you here for fun. If I give this a little tug, there we go. See, we've pulled that out. So pretty much what I'm doing here is I'm exposing the other side. Cutting off this as close as I can. Solder it together and you put some shrink wrap over it. When it's all said and done, it looks cleaner, it's less bulky, you know, it's not gonna come apart because you're basically, that's the great thing with solder. Not only does it make a great connection between the two wires, it kind of metal glues them together, if you will, and that's always nice. But yeah, there you go. You just put a little piece of shrink wrap over the side you're going to work with. You come up here. I just twist these two together. People got different techniques doing this. This is kind of, you know, what a lot of people do, they'll twist together and just put tape over it and call that good. Soldering is not like some super hard skill to obtain. Look how ghetto my igniter is though right now. I need to get a new one. Gas is running, let's light. Let's put it on, yeah, there it goes. Helps if you can rest your hands on stuff, you know, even if it's just something on the bike. Oh, that's a big glob. Alright, let's work that out. Y'all can make fun of me on the internet, tell me, Jake, you're horrible at soldering. People like to say that. Yeah, it looks fine. It's such a smaller setup now. You can bring back in this wire, plug this back in. We'll give this thing a quick test here. Turn it on. This turn signal should flash for just a second if it's working. There it goes. And if I put the turn signals on, okay, and it shouldn't turn off, it should just stay going. I can't cancel it. I can switch it though. That's cool, I didn't realize that. If you just double it in the same direction, it'll cancel it. So in case it gets hung up. Oh, that's so good. That was the one thing I've been worried about, that I wouldn't like this, if it got hung up and wouldn't turn off. Okay, that's good to know too on a side note. Alright, I just gotta kind of put everything back together again this time. Nothing should fall apart because it's just done better now. We're out here in the real world now, if you will. I've kind of just come over to this little neighborhood just to start with. Start with a simple one here. Pulling back out into traffic. And we're gonna come over like this. Let's see if it'll cancel. Oh, there it goes. Okay, signal's on. Make our left turn. And it looked like it picked that one up. Oh, there it goes. I didn't do that. It canceled itself. Seems like it stays on for a second after you make the turn. I can't go that way. So what happens if I do this? I got it doing that. What if I do a U-turn this way? Is it going to get all tripped up? What will it do? Will it just turn itself off thinking I've done... Yeah, there it goes. It turned itself off. I'm like watching the turn signal more than the turn. I want to see if what it does here. There it goes. Okay, it's off. It's working. Let's go with a right turn signal. And we're going right. And our turn signals say it's off. Oh, this actually could be terrible because this is going to spoil you as a rider. So when you get on a bike that doesn't have this system, you're just going to be leaving it on like crazy. I threw a left on, but I didn't throw it on until I was basically stopped. Let's see how it deals with that. It's already on. Oh, okay. Like I'm sitting here at a dead stop. Oh yeah, we need to turn this way. Let's see how it handles that. I'm guessing it must have like a little GPS or some kind of sensor in there that can figure out when you're turning. Oh, I don't think it's picked this one up though. It's staying going. As I go roll past the police station with it. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Yeah, sometimes it seems to cancel itself right away, right after you get around the turn. Other times it's like you got to go for a minute to get it to sort of register, but I mean, none of those are a really big deal. It's not like it ever cuts off early, and as long as it's not cutting off like too early, like mid-turn, I think that's okay. If it goes like, let's see, I'll see how long it goes. Yeah, there you go. I think that's acceptable for a turn signal to stay on after you make it around a turn. Let's give it like the worst scenario, okay? Alright, right turn signal. Alright, I was changed lanes. It's supposed to turn off for that, but I mean, that is barely changing a lane. I've basically scooted over a few feet, and I don't think it's going to turn off for that. Oh, okay, well it did. Okay. I don't know if that's just like a time thing or what, but yeah, it eventually did turn off there. Turn signal on there. We just scoot over just a little bit. And this would almost make me wonder if there's just like a time thing, like it sees you're moving and maybe it just goes and turns itself off after a second. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, she's off. Oh my god, a gravel road on a motorcycle? This is a terrible idea. Oh, turn signal turned off. I don't know what I'm doing. But what about this? Pull out here. Turn signal's running and we do this. Oh,
got it turned off in the air. That makes me look really good at what I'm doing. Okay, let's do this. Make it a little more obvious what I'm doing. See if it operates a little faster. Ah, okay. And let's do another extreme. Kind of like an extreme side of it. You know, we put it to the tough test. Let's see what, yeah, okay, it shuts off a little quicker like that. Or if we want to be kind of, you know, snaky with it, and we do one of these, like, all right, well, technically I changed lanes. But again, though, if it does get stuck on, if you tap it again, there you go. Okay, now I've turned it off.
Does it work? Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, if you try, you can sort of throw it off, but you can still manually cancel. It's pretty cool. I do see it being a possibility of something that causes you to develop a bad habit when you jump on somebody else's bike. You know, that's going to happen with anything that you have that's cool, new, and convenient that somebody else doesn't have. If somebody else wants to jump on my bike, I have to go, it's got self-canceling turn signals. They pretty much work. If they don't, just, you can still cancel it. You just got to click it in the direction it's already going. Yeah, I guess there's that, but how often does that happen? As far as installation goes, the wiring can seem a bit crazy. I know if you're not used to wiring stuff, but if you really just take your time, kind of read it, look at what it says, it's not that hard. It looked like they had where you could literally Skype call with them if you got stuck. I'm sure they could walk you through it. But yeah, for the most part, I think that's a pretty good plus. You know, we'll have to see how it holds up down the road.